are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bublish's Lunch and Learn webinar series. We're very excited today to introduce you to a word. It might not be the sexiest word in the book promotion and book marketing vocabulary, but it is key to your success. That is consistency, the consistency of marketing and the power of consistency in your marketing campaigns. Just a little bit of housekeeping. We're still waiting for people to come on, so we'll give that another minute or two. But if you look over on the right of the screen, you should have a chat or question box where you can ask questions throughout the webinar. And in asking those, we have different places where we're going to stop and answer those. So ask away, and then we will get to them throughout the course of the webinar. Also, you'll notice that we have two hashtags at the bottom of the screen, the book marketing hashtag and the Bublish hashtag. If you would like to comment on something you're learning so others can also take part socially on Twitter, our Twitter name is @BublishMe, and you can use these hashtags along with your tweet to ask questions socially or spread the word about what you're learning. So I think we can go ahead and get started. We've got people coming on right and left now. Let's give this one more minute, and then we'll go to what we're going to cover today. Thank everybody for being on our Lunch and Learn webinar series. Okay, Joy, you want to click us to the next? So today, and this is kind of our secret sauce here at Bublish when we do our Lunch and Learn webinars, we always like to do two things. We like to tell you the why. So today you're going to learn why consistent marketing is key to your success, and you're going to see some great examples of how consistent marketing has paid off for some top authors. And then we're going to spend some time with actionable tips to help you become a better marketer and a more consistent marketer. And we always like you to have takeaways that you can implement into your book marketing and book promotion and your publishing career to make you more successful. So that's kind of how we do it here. And I'm very excited to introduce you to our guest speaker today, Joy Capps, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at Bublish. Joy really knows how consistency pays off because she has been applying that concept to her award-winning and results-driven marketing campaigns for more than 20 years with some of the top brands in the country. And she's also a former international board member for the International Association of Business Communicators. So she has extensive experience in marketing, brand building, and we're thrilled to have her bring the message of consistency to our webinar today. So thanks, Joy, for doing this.
Thanks, Kathy. Before we get started, I did want to mention that I had created a worksheet for everyone where you could follow along and write in the different details because we're going to cover a lot of information. But time didn't avail for me to get that in front of you prior to the workshop. So what I'm going to do on the back end is I'm going to actually fill in the blanks and send you that worksheet with these ideas. So go ahead and take notes, but know that you're going to have a supplemental piece coming to your inbox shortly after the workshop. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we jump into the tips on how to consistently market, I wanted to spend a little time going over why consistent marketing is important. Let's start with a quick quiz. As you can see, I've got the characters for Scooby-Doo on the left side of the screen and things they may have said or worn on the right. So why don't you take the next 30 seconds and jot down the letters A through F for the characters and match them up with the right numbers And while you're doing that, let me go ahead and say this. I'm sure you're probably wondering, why on earth are we looking at cartoon characters? I thought this had to do with marketing. And really it does. I'll get to why in just a second, but let me tell you this. I venture to guess that everybody that's participating in today's webinar has been exposed to Scooby-Doo at one point in their life or another, even if it's through reruns. Okay, you should have had enough time. So let's go ahead and take a look. You can see the answers to the quiz here in the middle, but let me give you the reason why. Because even if you've only watched a couple of episodes, you probably aced this quiz. Consider the fact that the show aired only 41 different episodes, but every time you watched it, they dressed, talked, and solved mysteries the same way. You see, they were consistent, and we, the viewers, remembered. Consistency equals success. In fact, if we apply that to our world in book marketing, the formula would be this: marketing consistency plus well-written books equals author success. That's pretty powerful. Let me say that formula to you again. I want you to remember it. Marketing consistency plus well-written books equals author success. So let's unpack this a little bit. What is consistency and what does it do? Well, let's take a real world example. Have you heard the saying that it takes 21 days to make a habit? Well, you do that through discipline and an established mindset. I'll use myself as an example. Last year, I saw the big 5-0 looming on the horizon. So I took the bull by the horns and I made a choice. I could either be 50 and flabby or 50 and fit. So I joined a gym. I scheduled workouts on my calendar, changed my way of eating, and I crossed the line to 50 in January by reaching my goal of fit and 50. So the saying here is perfect. What you do every day matters more than what you do every once in a while. Nike says it's best. Just do it and then do it again. So consistency from a business perspective can help establish your reputation, make you relevant, maintain your message, make you memorable, and engage your audience. Let's look at some well-known authors. What do you think of when you hear Anne Rice's name? Vampire novels. Today, she's the author of over 30 novels and counting. You may not read that genre, but you definitely know her name. And when you hear Glenn Beck's name, you probably think about political controversy. As of 2010, Beck reached #1 on the New York Times bestseller list in 4 separate categories. Unless you're a historical romance reader like myself, you may not have heard of Maureen Driscoll. But if you have, you know how this indie author appeals to her raving reader fans. I'm a testimony in and of itself. I just finished 6 of her books that are in a series. Believe it or not, I'm an avid reader. So Maureen put it best in 2012. She said, "The worst part of being an indie author is marketing. All the time that she spends on marketing is time that she doesn't get to write or watch her guilty pleasure, Toddlers and Tiaras." So what do other well-known authors like Bella Andre and Amanda Hocking, Barbara Freethy, and Hugh Howey and James Redfield all have in common? Well, they write good books and they consistently invest time to help readers discover their works. You see, marketing isn't something they just do occasionally. Marketing their author brand and their book or books is a full-time job. So let's stop for questions and see.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So we have a question from Sarah, and she says, what happens if I can't keep up consistently with all the promotions, blogs, newsletters, social posts I'm working on? What should I do?
Well, that's a really good question. We're actually going to be going over details on exactly how to do that and some tips here in just a second. So hold on and we'll get to the answer to your question.
Awesome. And I always like to make sure that everybody can hear us well. and can see the screen. So if anybody's having any challenges in that area, again, just use the chat to let us know. Otherwise, we'll assume everybody can hear us and see the screen.
Okay, so let's move on. I thought that it was really compelling to include this quote from Mark Coker, the founder of Smashwords. He basically said that most authors fail because they don't take advantage of best practices. You see, those that do take advantage of best practices, they have a tremendous sales and discovery advantage over those who do not. So, what can you do to ensure the same success and marketing consistency? Let's go over some tips. The first thing you need to do is create a marketing plan and stick with it. So, let me ask you this. Do you have a hit or miss strategy, or do you follow a consistent strategy? Well, either way, what you need to do is you need to select a series of strategies, tactics, things you're going to do, and consistently implement them over 2 to 3 month period. If you consistently do so, I guarantee that you will begin to see an increase in your brand awareness, followers, and eventually sales. By creating a marketing strategy, you're going to improve your focus, and in turn, you're going to save time and money. You're going to outflank your competition who doesn't have a strategy or a plan. You're going to give prospective readers, which are also known as your customers, exactly what they want. A plan gives you confidence while helping you see the big picture so you don't miss out on opportunities. A marketing plan will help you measure what's working and what's not working. Creating a marketing plan and sticking with it ensures that you consistently market and stay top of mind with your target audience, your readers. So let's move on to the next point. You need to establish weekly marketing habits. Now, what I recommend is that you block time on your calendar, just like an appointment, to spend at least an hour a week on marketing. Now, personally, I recommend spending time on marketing every day, but a good place to start is 1 hour a week. So whatever hours you are able to dedicate, break each hour into 3 parts. Spend the first 20 minutes researching and creating content. You can research your readers, reader demographics, research new promotional tools and outlets. You can spend that 20 minutes creating content that you're going to use or writing a blog post. Spend the next 20 minutes scheduling and posting. This is really when you're going to do your outbound marketing. So you've created all that stuff, and what are you going to do with it? Well, you're going to actually plug it into a promotional outlet like Hootsuite, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. And you could also use this time to create a content calendar, which we'll go into detail later, but basically mapping out exactly what you share when. Spend the next 20 minutes on live engagement with your followers. Respond to their tweets and posts during that time. It's so important that you interact with them as quickly as possible. That live interaction is what's going to gain you the brownie points and the following over time. By putting these things on your calendar, it becomes a regular appointment. Just like my example of going to the gym. The times I go to the gym are a regular appointment on my calendar, and I plan my other meetings around it so I don't miss out on the benefits of going. Now, one tool that you can use, I referenced it just a second ago, and this tool is free, is called Hootsuite. And Hootsuite actually is going to be integrated into Bublish in the near future, which is going to be awesome. But Hootsuite allows you to pre-schedule your posts to all of your social media outlets. Let's take a quick walk through how you would do this. So if you're in Bublish, right now you can create several book bubbles, and then you can email those links to yourself after you publish them. You can then use the links that you've emailed to schedule a time for that post to go out via Hootsuite. You can schedule months in advance if you want to. Hootsuite is a great tool that allows you to basically set it and forget it, as Ron Popeil from Ronco likes to say. Setting up scheduled posts via Hootsuite is also a great way to ensure that your social outreach occurs even when you're busy writing attending conferences, or on vacation. So let's take a look at our third point. Schedule ways to market consistently. What you really need to do is to take the tasks from that marketing plan and put them on a calendar. It's kind of a content calendar in marketing speak. That's what we call it. What you would do is you may decide, for example, to put things in rotation as I've kind of mapped out here. So let's say that week 1 is on a consistent basis, on a monthly basis. Your first week, you always ask fans to review your books on Amazon, Goodreads, Kobo, or whatever online retailer you use. Maybe the second week is when you consistently send out advance copies of your books to bloggers and ask them for reviews. Maybe the third week of the month is when you collect testimonies from your fans and find creative ways to use them on your website or in your author insight of your Bublish book bubble in your tweets. If you do these things consistently, not only will it become a routine for you, but it will become a routine for your followers, and they will expect it. The last point I really want to make here is you need to research pre-planned events and conferences where you might connect with readers and other authors and put them on that calendar. You see, even if you can't attend a conference or event, you can participate in the Twitter stream and connect in the conversation. Most conferences have a dedicated hashtag that they use, and that will pull you right into where everybody else is talking. For instance, the Romance Writers of America conference is going to use RWA 15 for this upcoming year's conference. I was at the RWA conference last summer, and someone started direct messaging me via Twitter, and I thought they were at the conference, but I soon discovered that they weren't. The person was still following the conference and participating in the conversation from afar. Pretty cool, huh? Now, when things get hectic, which I believe is the typical definition of life these days, you'll be sure to keep your drumbeat going because you've scheduled things in advance and have a routine to follow. So let's just take a break for a second. Kathy, are there any questions?
There are. So we have a question from Carol, and she says, I get consistency, but what goes into a marketing plan and a strategy? So can you speak? I know you certainly created many of those, but just at a high level, maybe give her a couple of examples.
Right. So really, I could do a whole workshop on creating one of those. But
Yeah.
what I would say is you want to make your marketing plan SMART. And it's an acronym that I've used for quite some time. And SMART, basically, SMART stands for making it strategic, measurable, actionable, reasonable, and time bound, or that it has a timeline. And so really what you do is you figure out what are your objectives and your goals. So in your case, your objectives and goals are to market your book to reach as many different readers and prospects as possible. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find the different activities, which I'm going to go over something about that in just a second, that you can plug into that and make sure that those activities or tactics, as I call them, are things that you can easily execute. And you want to make sure that, again, I'll go over that, it's SMART. It's strategic, it's measurable, it's actionable, it's reasonable, and it's time bound. So basically writing it up in a goal setting for yourself so that you can really see that this is going to work to your benefit. An example that I might give you is that you set a goal to build your opt-in newsletter email list and by 10% over the next 2 to 3 months, and successfully reach out to your reader base. That would be an example of a SMART objective. Do you think?
Awesome.
Okay.
That's great. That's really useful. I like that. Could you give us one more maybe longer term smart that might have a different, just so there's a point of comparison? Because I think that was fantastic information about what a smart campaign looks like.
Let's see. So,
Like a launch, a book launch may be longer,
right.
something around a book launch.
So maybe one of the things that you would do in your campaign is that you are going to actually pre-sell your book, and you are going to begin your pre-selling marketing activities um, 6 months before you finished writing your book. Um, and your objective is going to be to create buzz in the marketplace and increase your prospective readers, your prospective customers by 20%. And that would be something that's more longer term.
Excellent, excellent. And then you'd be measuring it. I know you're going to speak to that. And then we have just one more question about what does a content calendar look like? Any tools or ideas on how to create a content calendar?
A content calendar is really easy. You can do it on any tool that you have. You could even you can use pen and paper, but a little bit more useful tool would be like a spreadsheet. And I'm actually going to kind of go into some of those tools in a little bit, but a spreadsheet would map it out very easily for you. You have where you put what the action item is, and you map it out by month with your deadlines. I actually have a content calendar for our webinar series that we do here at Bublish. We do 2 webinars a month. It's something new that we've embarked upon for 2015, and I have the dates already picked out all the way through the end of the year and the topics. And then I have a checklist beside them, and it tells me exactly have I done X, Y, and Z. That is an example of a content calendar, and I did that in a Google spreadsheet, a Google Doc spreadsheet. You could do it on your phone. If you have a smartphone, you could do it on your actual Outlook calendar or any kind of calendar related item. Hopefully that gives a good running start.
Yeah, great. So let's not hold you up there. I'm sure we'll have more questions coming, but we can pace ourselves because I know you have a lot more content to share.
Okay, great. So let's go on to point number 4. We want to consistently build and connect with your community. This is so vitally important. To make marketing work, you have to consistently find ways to build and connect with your fan base. In fact, I was working with a Bublish author just the other day, and he's a very sweet man, older gentleman, but he'd never used Twitter or Facebook before. So we had to start from scratch, and maybe that's your case too. Before you race off and try to implement a bunch of different ways to build your fan base and connect with people, I want you to remember this key fact. Marketing is not about being a jack of all trades and a master of none. To be successful, you need to focus on one tactic, one thing, and learn to do it well, and then add another one into your bag of tricks once you kind of got that down and start to expand. So let's say that you decide to create a monthly newsletter first. You're going to need to do everything: scheduling, content creation, list building, using a delivery mechanism like MailChimp. You'll even need to find ways to get people to opt into your newsletter where they share their email address with you. If you're going to do anything well, though, you have to map things out so you can execute them consistently. That's the key to everything. So maybe you've decided to tackle blogging or Twitter Twitter chats. Regardless of the tactic that you decide, the dedication and commitment that you need to make is the same if you're going to be consistent and do things well. I could do a whole session on how to blog or send newsletters or do Twitter chats, but that's not the topic today. The point is you need to map out ways to stay top of mind with your readers. So do me a favor. I want you to think back to when you were dating. I know everyone on this call has had a date at one time in their life. Now, remember that one special person that you really connected with? You would have done anything to stay top of mind with that guy or gal, right? Well, your prospective customers, your readers, they are like that guy or gal. You have to consistently create touch points to stay top of mind with them. Now, I know it can seem daunting because there's so many things you can do with marketing, but there's a saying I like to use that I think fits really well here. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Simply find one thing that you're going to do it well before you move on to the next thing. Okay, the fifth point. I want to talk about integrating marketing into your writing. I'm really talking about pre-sales here. Now, I know a lot of people, there's different camps on whether to do this or not, but I really think that there's some salient points I need to share with you. If you're going to be successful and you're going to consistently market, you cannot go into your cave and write and then come back out whenever you're ready. Because if you do that, you're going to run the risk of being forgotten by your fan base. Did you know that studies have shown that books born as pre-orders sell more copies overall than books that do not? Make your pre-order runway as long as possible by scheduling pre-sale marketing tasks well in advance of finalizing your work. One way you could work on this is you can use something that we have here at Bublish. It's an EPUB creator tool available right within the software. It's really easy to use, and it allows you to engage your readers while you're writing your book. You can share rough cuts, and you can actually ask readers for feedback about the rough cut excerpt that you share, feedback about a storyline, or maybe naming a character, etc. So a really quick few ideas on pre-selling and integrating marketing. I'm just going to run through them, but consider offering a bonus ebook for people who buy in advance, or maybe offer an exclusive option, maybe a discount for people that buy in advance. Start promoting your book as early as possible via all the social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, etc. And maybe look at writing about it in your blog or asking others to give you advanced book reviews. Send out an email announcement, conduct contests to win an autographed copy of the book. Share the news with your online groups that you belong to and those of that are your author friends, and ask those people in return to help you by sharing it with their friends. If you want buzz about your work, you're going to have to start as early as possible. Don't forget to use this time, though, as a time to collect email addresses for future interactions and newsletters. And I guess my last point here is pre-selling your book really helps you consistently stay top of mind and keep that marketing drumbeat going even while you write. So let's look at the last point here. You need to track your results. You spent all this time creating a plan and learning how-to tips for consistent marketing, but you want to ensure that you also carve out time to evaluate your progress. Consider scheduling time to review and track results, maybe once a month or once every 2 to 3 months. And by tracking these results, you're going to be able to see what worked and what could have gone better. I mentioned it before, Google Doc is an easy free source that you can use. You can create a spreadsheet for each marketing activity and see what resonated most with your fans. You can also look at metrics on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter if you spent advertising dollars with them. Other resources that you might want to consider, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Bublish actually tracks metrics for entrepreneurs who have a premium paid account. Entrepreneurs can track their engagement by seeing which tweets and posts received the most views and which buy links were clicked through to online retailers. Google Analytics is also free. If you sync up your website to Google Analytics, you can do all kinds of things. You can use that to track the unique visitors and page views on your website. You can create special tracking links within Google Analytics so that you can go back later and see what received the most traffic. If you decide to use MailChimp as your newsletter mechanism to send out emails, you can actually see how many people opened and clicked on various things, and a whole bunch of others. These are just a few of the recommendations only that I'm giving to you. This only begins to scratch the surface of marketing metric monitoring. There's so many services that are available. And unless you plan on switching careers to become a full-time marketer like me, I think you're set for now. At the end of the day, just remember that tracking results will help you become more efficient so you can use your time wisely in reaching your readers. So let's review. If you market consistently, you're going to be able to establish your reputation, make yourself relevant, maintain your message, make yourself memorable, and engage with your audience. But don't forget, you have to do it every day more than every once in a while. And then last but not least, let's look at that formula again. Marketing consistency plus well-written books is going to bring author success. So that's it. I'll turn it over to you, Kathy.
Yeah, so we have a couple of questions here. They've been kind of piling up. Um, this comes from John. Could you talk a bit more about how to promote your book while writing? I guess a little bit more on the tactical is what maybe he's looking for.
So I mentioned the Bublish EPUB creator tool. It actually allows you to write within our tool. You can write your manuscript right there, and it's probably the best tool for this purpose, the question you just asked, where you can actually select an excerpt of something that you just wrote, and then you can write an author insight or ask a question that will go out via the various social media outlets that you are linked up with. Another thing that you could do if you weren't using that tool is you could actually do a similar thing, but it would be a little bit more laborious, and you'd have to go to Facebook itself and you'd have to pick up your excerpt and figure out what to share, and you have limited space via Facebook, and then you'd have to ask your question there and hope that you've created a fan base that's going to be able to see that. And then I would recommend that you do the same thing via Twitter or Google Plus, but of course you'd have to have embedded links that could take them to wherever that text is waiting. And let's say that you don't share an excerpt. You could actually, just like they do with the teasers on the shows on TV or movies, it's coming. Set your timer and just give little snippets, little sound bites. That's what I would recommend doing.
Awesome. The next question is from Audrey, and Audrey is saying it sounds like metrics are really important. Do you recommend tracking everything you do?
What I would recommend is that you track the important things. So if you spend, in your plan, if you spend a lot of time on Twitter or on Facebook, then I would recommend that you go through and see which of those tweets resonated the most. It's going to be somewhat daunting to be able to keep up with it, and that's why I would recommended the Bublish Authorpreneur dashboard, because it gives you the ability to let Bublish do the tracking for you. And you can see how many people retweeted, clicked, liked, that kind of thing. It's pretty cool. But pick the key things that you're working on and make those the things that you track. Otherwise, it can become a lot to track everything.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of what you've taught us even at Bublish, key performance indicators. So setting up like what defines success for a campaign or a project, and what is the key thing you need to measure to know if you were successful, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's it's interesting for me not having really been a marketer to watch you bring those disciplines even to our team, and just learning how data-driven the whole effort of marketing is.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot that you can do. And hopefully you found the information that we've shared today to point you in the right direction to be able to do it consistently.
Yeah, and I have one more question from Karen. She's asking, how do you capture emails? Some tips for capturing emails.
Okay, so if you have a website, one of the things that you can do is have a place where people can opt in on your website, dependent upon who you use to host your website. They usually have a cool little widget or tool that you can put a little form fill where people can opt in, and you know, want to be part of my newsletter, put your email here, that kind of thing. You can also collect business cards from people. You can also, in the newsletter that you send out, you can encourage people to share it with others so that they can come to you and say, hey, I want to be part of this. They can opt in. Those are just two or three quick ideas.
Great. And then let me just take a look. I think we've caught up on the questions. So just to close, I just want to invite you guys to lots of our lunch and learns. We have them on a fairly regular basis. We try to do it at noon Eastern time every other Wednesday. Sometimes we can't, but 99% of the time we do them. So the next one is on March 11th. So once a month we always do how to accelerate your book marketing success with Bublish, and that particular session is a drill down on all the features that are within the Bublish platform that you can use to accelerate your book marketing success. So that's very Bublish specific. And then our other one is like today on March 25th. The next one is a thought leadership type of webinar where we teach you something about book marketing. And the next one is Break Through the Noise, Leverage Public Relations to Promote Your Books. And that is another area where I think a lot of people don't quite know how PR works, and they don't have the money to hire a publicist or a PR specialist. So we'll have lots of interesting tips and tactics for you to use to become better at the PR side of promoting your book. Again, if you have any further questions that we didn't get to, please don't hesitate to contact either Joy. She's Scuba Joy on Twitter. You can ask us questions on Bublish Me on Twitter. Email Joy directly at joy@bublish or info@bublish.com. And please feel free to visit our website and learn more about what we do. And thanks for being on the call. We really appreciate your interest. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joy.